How to analyze the 1-hour trading chart. What are the specifics about this time frame? Which tools to use in order to get the best analysis for the best trading setup? That's what we're going to talk about in this video. I will give you some good tips so you will be ready after this video in order to do a really well analysis for successful trading. For that reason, let's jump directly to the chart. We're here on the Euro New Zealand dollar at the 1-hour chart, of course. And what we definitely need to do first is to find out the underlying trend. And what do we see here? We have a beautiful accumulation, distribution. So it looks like we are having a beautiful downwards trend, and the market has been coming to this beautiful support and resistance level and is about to go down and continue its downwards trend. That's what it looks like in the first view. But is that really the truth, or is it an optical illusion? Let's take a look. And for that reason, we will zoom out now. And here you see we are coming from a beautiful upwards movement and now are definitely in a downwards movement. But in order to put that into a big picture, we'll switch now to a higher time frame. I would always recommend to do so. You can switch to the 4-hour chart, for example, now, or the daily chart example as well. And what we see here is, and we see here that we are indeed coming from an upwards movement, but we have here accumulation, distribution, accumulation, distribution. And we're coming here to a resistance level, if I continue here, that the market has reacted to quite often as support and resistance, which is quite a major level, guys. So this is telling us that we're here not in an intact downwards movement. On the big picture, we see we're in an intact upwards movement and at the end of the pullback within this movement. So this up here is not a good setup to go short. If we go until this level, of course it is. So this is definitely an option. But if you want to catch a big movement, this is definitely not the place to do that into the short direction here. In that case, I would recommend to wait for the pullback to end, come down back to this level, and then look for an entry in this area to go long. This is why it's always so important to find out the underlying trend first, and if you have to switch the time frame for that, do so, because that way you make sure to get the whole picture and not just an excerpt. So that was step number 1, the underlying trend. Step number 2, classify the trend and movement. And this we do with finding out the support and resistance levels. I have a little bit done step 1 and 2 at once, since we have already found out that we have a major support and resistance level right here where the market has acted as support and resistance before I showed in the higher time frame. So that is really necessary to find out the key levels. And besides that, of course, we have another key level here where the market has reacted to quite some time. Therefore, it is really likely that the market will find resistance here and come back down first. And if the market is really moving upwards, like analyzed before, because we are in an intact upwards trend, then it will probably find resistance in this level here, which it has reacted to quite some times as well. And this is around this level where the market will probably react and not smoothly go directly through. There's a high potential that it will bounce off first before eventually going through to continue its upwards trend. Step number 3, are we in a movement or correction? And as told before, we are on the higher time frame here in a correction in an ongoing upwards trend. But in this excerpt that we see here on the chart, we are in a downwards movement that is occurring in swings as well. And within these swings, we are in a pullback. But as analyzed before, it's probably the end down here, because this is just a key level that the market will probably respect here. But of course, there are some tools which definitely can help you to analyze if you're in a movement or correction. Let me apply real quick. The Heikin-Ashi candles, they help you to see if we're in an upwards or downwards movement. Here in red, of course, the downwards movement, and in green, the upwards movements. And if you have, or if the market has strong movements during that time, you see that the green candles, for example, almost have no wick at the bottom, only wicks at the top, and the opposite around in strong downwards movements, only wicks at the bottom and almost no wicks at the top. And in chubby faces like here, you have more mixed colors, red and green in between, and sometimes also wicks in both directions. So these are areas more of indecision. These are clear downwards movements, like we have here as well, for example, or here, and also clear upwards movements, like we have in faces here as well. So let's jump back to our normal candles. You see the color of the Heikin-Ashi candles made it a little easier to see the movements and to ease it out to see the accumulations and distributions here in this chart. But of course we have characteristic candles here as well, as you see the long momentum candles, which are showing here a strong upwards movement, and on the opposite, of course, we have strong downwards candles here as well, with long bodies and almost no wicks against the moving direction. So these characteristics can help you analyzing the movement as well. Last but not least, of course, you should always check the news also. You can, for example, go to investing.com, and there you will find all news that are coming up. You can go to the currency news. Of course, you can take a look at the economic calendar as well, where the news during that day are displayed. And within the chart, of course, you have the possibility to go into the settings, and also here you find events like economic events, like news notifications. You can check them all to get reported. And then you see here at the bottom, for example, when news are coming in that are relevant for your trading. This gives you the possibility to check out which news there are and maybe leave out that trade, because with news the market gets sometimes really volatile. I would not recommend to trade within that area when there are really strong news, because I have seen many traders losing a lot of money during those periods. Because it doesn't even have to mean that the market switches direction. It sometimes just cashes all the stop losses before continuing into the trending direction again. So for really easy steps to analyze the 1 hour chart, now for a whole strategy, what's left, of course, is the entry and exit. Look for an entry like analyzed before. I would wait to reach this level, and when the market does, then I will look for an entry into the long direction. Here you see the market has made a double bottom, or formed a double bottom here. So this would be a perfect entry to go into the long direction. If you want to wait for confirmation, you can use the market doing a new higher high and a new higher low here. So if the market is moving through this resistance here, then it's an entry long. Stop, of course, below the last low with room. I would always recommend to leave enough room to not get knocked out by a spike like this, just because you wanted to keep the risk as low as possible. Of course, this is always a good thing, but not too close, because this will result in the opposite, losing more than winning, even though you're right with your trading idea. You see the trade worked out. It's making its way into the upwards direction further, but that's not part of this video. This video was all about the analysis of the 1 hour chart. Now you're really ready to do it yourself. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments and I will be happy to help. And if you want to learn more, check out the link below this video to my website. And then I will see you again next week with the next video. Bye bye.